October meeting. Gosh, it's already October. Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, right? Oh my gosh. We're in for the busiest quarter of the year, I think. So, welcome. I'm glad you could join us. We have a really great program tonight. How to avoid getting scammed. How many of us are tired of getting all those robocalls and emails and texts saying, text here, you've got $1 million you need to claim, all that stuff. Well, we've got our expert here, Tom Stevens, who's going to give us pointers on what to look for, what to avoid, and maybe even how to report the bad people who are doing this. At the back of the room, we have Jimmie Carter. He is from the Office of Consumer Affairs with the City of Jacksonville, and he has a lot of goodies back there at the table for you to take home to help you with avoid being scammed. Correct?
Correct.
All right, good deal. Well, I'm Maria Mark. I'm the president of Beaches Watch, and I'll be hosting the meeting tonight. We will have Mr. Stevens give his presentation just following our brief announcements, and then we'll be glad to take questions and answers from the audience afterwards. Okay? So, as you know, we're membership-based, so we always are asking you to consider either joining or renewing a membership with our organization. It's $5 for students, $15 for individual, and $20 for family. It helps us support these programs that we bring to you monthly, as well as our candidate forums and our Fletcher High School Scholarship, as well as our Give Back Award. And more on our Give Back Award a little bit later in our announcements. That is coming up in December is when we award an organization here at the beach that has really added to the quality of life for our residents. A few announcements. We always videotape our meetings for those who can't make it, or if you want to see it again in case you've missed something. So it will be available on our YouTube channel tomorrow at Beaches Watch 2012, or you can always access the link on our website. Again, we are now in our early bird membership renewal, which started in October. So from now to December 31st, if you renew, you'll be in the running for a prize that we will draw sometime in the spring. The memberships are valid January through December, so you can happily give your membership to Joyce, who's sitting at the sign-in table. If you're not a Beaches resident, you can also support us by making a donation. We'd like to recognize elected officials, and it looks like we have our esteemed Sandy Golding, Jacksonville Beach City Council representative, and just quick shout out to Kevin Hogenkamp, who is the Atlantic Beach Assistant City Manager, Deputy City Manager. We have a long title, I don't know. Yeah, thank you for coming. There's a couple of meetings coming up. Atlantic Beach is still undergoing their charter review. So the committee will be meeting on Wednesday, October 25th at 6 p.m. and that'll be in our chamber. As you may or may not know, the budget has been passed for all three beaches, communities. The millage rates that were approved, Atlantic Beach, they did roll back their rate to 2.84110 mils. Jax Beach stayed the same as 2023 at 3.9947 mils. As well as Neptune Beach, they also kept the same rate as fiscal year 22 through 23 at 3.3656 mils. Atlantic Beach will be hosting their, I guess it's a quarterly town hall meeting. This will be Saturday, October 14th, starting at 10 o'clock. The location will be at our Jordan Park and Community Center on Francis Avenue. And going back, so this is our Give Back donation. We're looking for nominations of organizations. They must be registered 501c3 organizations in order to be eligible to be considered for our Give Back donation. The deadline to submit your nomination is November the 5th. So again, this is organizations that have, their work, their mission is to help support and improve the quality of life for our beaches citizens. So put your thinking caps on, and we'll be glad to take your nominations. You can submit your nominations on our, at this website, or link, I'm sorry. Is it also on our website? Yeah, so it's also on our website. If you don't want to try and remember all of that, you can go on our website, beacheswatch.com. And again, November 5th is our deadline, because in December, our December meeting is when we recognize that organization. So, save the date. Our next meeting, our community meeting, will be Wednesday, November 1st, again at 7 p.m. And the topic will be our town hall with state legislators. Our speakers will be Senator Clay Yarborough and Representative Keon Michael, and that will be here in the meeting room at the library. This is generally a well-attended meeting, so we encourage your friends and family to come out early and make sure you get a seat. Just by a quick show of hands, we'd kind of like to know how you heard about the meeting tonight. Was it through our website, our newsletter, email? Email? Okay. Word of mouth? You love our organization and you just come every Wednesday of the month, first Wednesday of every month?
Just show up.
Yeah, we kind of like to know, so to make sure normally it's posted, it's also printed in the Beaches Leader. Unfortunately, this past issue, we kind of got lost between the cracks, so it was not published, but normally it's published in the Beaches Leader as well. Okay, so I think that's all of our announcements. So tonight's speaker, I have a brief bio to introduce him, Tom Stevens. Tom is a transplant from Georgia, having escaped in 1973. Thank goodness he survived. He's a graduate of the University of Georgia. Okay, and holds a BS in economics. The Better Business Bureau is his third career, having spent some time in the mortgage industry and 15 years as a nationwide insurance agent prior to coming to the Better Business Bureau in 1995 as a membership representative. He was named President and CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Northeast Florida in 1999. Tom is married to Faye and has two daughters, Sonia and Leah. Other affiliations include serving as a board member of the Greater Jacksonville Agricultural Fair Association, a member and past president of the Kiwanis Club of Jacksonville, and a member of the Lakeshore Global Methodist Church. So, a round of applause for Tom.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the introduction. I start off every meeting by asking everybody the same question. By show of hands, tell me how many of you have heard me speak before, or this is your first time?
First time.
I just think about that one, didn't you? It's nice. Being a little older, I'm very fortunate to have someone call and check on me every day. He's from India and he's very concerned about my car warranty. So, I thought I'd give you a few little one-liners to start off with, and then we'll get into the serious stuff. You know, I choked on a carrot this morning, and all I could think of, this probably wouldn't have happened if it was a donut. It turns out that when you are asked who your favorite child is, you're supposed to pick one of your own. I can't believe I forgot to go to the gym today, which is actually not true. I did go to the gym today. That's 7 years in a row. If you dropped something when you were younger, you just picked it up. When you're older and you drop something, you stare at it a bit, just contemplating whether it's really worth picking it up. And as I watch this generation try to rewrite history, one thing for sure is I know that it will be misspelled and have no punctuation. When I was a kid, I used to watch The Wizard of Oz, and wondered how someone could talk if they didn't have a brain. Then I got on Facebook. Apparently RSVPing to a wedding invitation with maybe next time isn't the correct response. And finally, I just burned 1,200 calories. I forgot the pizza in the oven. So, first I'm going to give you the standard shameless BBB plug, which I have to do on everything. Who we are. The Better Business Bureau has been around for over 100 years. We started originally as what were called vigilance committees of advertising clubs, set up to review advertising and try to make sure the advertising was honest and not full of misstatements and etc. And that was started around 1912. In 1916, the name was changed to the Better Business Bureau. Our mission now is to help build an ethical marketplace where buyers and sellers can trust each other. And wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
If everybody could trust everybody. We do this by calling out those businesses with bad business practices and celebrating the ones with good practices. And yes, we still question advertising, especially online. So, I'm here to talk about scams. But I kind of want to make a little slight distinction between what's a scam and what's an interaction with a business transaction that's gone bad. Okay? In a scam, the scammer usually is offshore. He's not in the United States. He planned to take your money right from the beginning. There never was a real business, never was a job, never was a puppy, never was an Xbox, never was a house that you were going to rent. There was never any of the other myriad things that people lose their money on. He started off knowing that he was going to take your money. A bad business situation usually involves a real business. And it usually kind of goes downhill, goes south, if you will say so, for a myriad of reasons. Labor problems, money problems, supply chain problems, weather problems, or just pure bad management or bad workmanship. Of course, there always are a few businesses who kind of push the envelope to the legality envelope, and they end up with a report to the state attorney's office, which oftentimes causes them to be arrested and spend a little time as a guest in the state, or they end up with a suit by the FTC. And I might add that sometimes those businesses, we have something to do with those businesses being turned into the state attorney's office or the FTC. For example, a couple of years ago, there were several roofing companies that were just basically stealing money. They would take a deposit for a roof and never come back. And I'm talking about taking a deposit of $10,000 or more, and you never see them again. Well, they ended up in jail. Thank goodness. I don't think they stayed there very long because they were able to afford a good lawyer, but they got arrested anyway. And then just recently, the FTC shut down a credit repair organization that was based here in Jacksonville called Credit Game. And we were very much involved with that. We worked with the FTC for over a year providing information to them so they could bring that lawsuit. So those are bad businesses, and they are fraudulent businesses. But even in those situations where you have a fraudulent business or a bad business, there is a chance of recovery. Sometimes there's some money there that can be clawed back. In a scam, there ain't no way. Because that money, as soon as you send it to the scammer, within 10 hours it was in India. More like within an hour it was in India, because they bounce it from bank account to bank account and get it offshore. So I just want to kind of set that stage as there is a difference between the two. So, excuse me. I want to talk about something called Scam Tracker. Scam Tracker is an online crowdsourced BBB tool that allows people to report scams. And we've had it up online since about 2017, I think. The online address is bbb.org/scam tracker, one long word. People report scams on there just for sort of altruistic reasons. They don't really think we're going to help them get their money back, but they want other people to know what happened so that somebody else will fall for the same thing. And we get about, on average, 50 to 70,000 scam reports a year on that website. And each year, we analyze those 50 to 70,000 reports and come up with the ones which are most prevalent. And that's what I'm going to talk about, some of those tonight. If you see the numbers on the left are, this is 2022, because obviously we haven't gone through 2023 yet. Those are the numbers in 2022. The ones on the right in red are where that same scam was in 2021. So you can see how some have moved up and some have moved down. For example, online purchases were number 1 both years. Romance scams were number 14 in 2021, but moved up to number 7 in 2022. So we're going to talk about some of those. I'm not going to talk about all of them because I know there's a time for it. First one, online purchase scams. Why is that number 1 always? And the reason is pretty simple, because there are so many online transactions, so many purchases made, that you just, by naturally, it's going to be the one you get scammed the most. But also, there are situations where people do not, shall we say, use a brain. They respond to pop-up ads on Facebook. They do a web search and find a website that looks good. They don't do any investigation of whether the website is really real or not. And there are ways to do that. The first thing I would suggest, if you find a company on a website that you have never done business with before, Google the company name, the website, the company's name, with the word scam behind it and see if anything shows up. Also check bb.org and see if we have a report on it. Then go to there are probably half a dozen what are called who is databases. And that is you can go to the one and again just Google who is database and it'll give you a bunch of choices. And you can go in and put the company's, the website of that address, the URL of that website address in there, and it will tell you when that website was set up, how long it's been in operation, etc. So if you have a website that says we've been in business for 30 years and we got all this good customers, etc., but the who is tells you they started 2 months ago, then you kind of have a pretty good idea that that's a scam. So just to go on what it says on the slide there, 32% of all the scam reports are online scams. And 75% of the people who report a scam actually lost money on the scam. So there are a couple other things that I would say that are important in the online scam issue. Number one thing is concerns the pop-up ads on social media. People get caught with they want the wrinkles gone. They want better hair. They want more energy. They want a flat gut. They want all this good stuff that they wish that they had when they were 20 years old, but they don't have any longer. And so when they see an ad that says, you can get a free sample, 10-day free trial, all you got to do is pay $6.95 shipping. They'll send you out the magic medicine for a 10-day trial. What they don't tell you is this is what's called a negative option continuity program, which means you give them a credit card to pay that $6.95 shipping. You're going to get charged for the next month and the next month if you don't cancel it. So what happens in about 90% of the cases, the number one, the 10-day free trial starts the minute you push the button to say buy. It doesn't start when the product gets there. It starts then. So you don't see the product until after the 10 days is over with. And they ship you the 10-day supply in the same box as the first month's 30-day supply is. So instead of being $6.95, you got a $150 charge for the credit card. It keeps, and then you can't get through to the company to stop it because you don't even know who they are. Who's responding to an ad? The only way in many cases you can do that is to just cancel a credit card. And then I've actually seen some of these companies threaten to sue those customers that cancel a credit card because the terms of service on their website says you are agreeing to X number of months of this continuity program. And you didn't read the terms of service because they weren't there. You had to click on a link in the bottom of the, mouse type at the bottom, find the terms of service, and nobody does that. Whenever you see terms of service on a website, it's automatically accepted. I did too. It's stupid, but I did it. So that's one of the things you have to watch out for. So just know that free trial offers are always bad, almost always bad. A couple of interesting stats. Age 18 to 24 has the highest median loss online. And that makes sense because they're the ones on their own line more than anybody else. 85% of active duty military report losing money online. So why do people fall for online purchase scams? There are basically three reasons. One, they're cheaper, they appear to be cheaper than anywhere else. The product's cheaper. Number two, they actually have the, I tend to wonder, and I gotta remember to stay in front of this line. Number two, they actually have the product. And we'll talk about that in just a second when it comes to Christmas stuff. And three, that pop-up ad that you saw, kind of makes you make an impulse purchase and try that product. So that's why people fall for it. So this is a good time for me to sort of go into the Christmas type stuff. Every year, there's a hot item that kids want. And every year, nobody has it. Target sells out, Walmart sells out, everybody sells out. So people start looking online, and they find a website that says, we've got it, we'll ship it to you, and it's cheaper than you buy at Walmart or Target. All they're doing is taking your money. They never have the product. The chances are very, very good. If you use that Who Is tool that I just mentioned earlier, you'll find that website was opened less than 60 days prior. And they're going to take some credit card money, take money from the credit card, never ship the product, and then in about 3 or 4 weeks when you realize you're not going to get the product, by the time you start to complain, they've shut the website down, they've closed their bank accounts, taken the money and run. Because they were in India anyway. So you just, So be careful on Christmas stuff. Make sure that the websites you're looking at is real and done business with before, or you've recognized them. Look at the address on the website very carefully, because sometimes the scammers will change one letter in the website address. It makes it look like it's Walmart. It might be Walmart1.com. So be careful about that. Finally, make sure you understand what the website and the store's return policies are. Can I bring this back if it doesn't fit? How long do I have to bring it back? Make sure you understand that. And then finally, Christmas time is also the time for what we call shipping scams. And you would think that that would not be a big issue because you know what you ordered. But think about it, there's 3 or 4 people in the household. Mom's buying gifts for the kids, and the kids are buying gifts for mom, and dad's buying gifts for mom, and mom's buying gifts for dad. And they're all going to Amazon, they're all being shipped in. If you get an email address or an email that says, we don't have a shipment address for this, for this product, click on this link, you almost believe it's real because it looks like Postal Service, or it looks like UPS, or it looks like FedEx, or whatever. And so when you click on that link, number one, never click on a link in an unsolicited email. That's the number 1 rule for everything. When you click on that link, it'll either take you to your website and ask you to pay money to continue your shipment, or that link will download some type of virus into your phone or into your computer that will take personal information that you have stored there, including bank account information. So you can never click on a link. And now, I want to go to what is usually the most costly or costliest online scam. Can we talk pet scams? Puppy scams. Now this little bundle of joy here, adorable little fuzzball, is named Rio. And he lives in my house. And he is a Maltese Shih Tzu cross. So he's a designer dog. I was, wonder what you call a cross between a bulldog and a Shih Tzu. Just think about that. So when the pandemic hit, puppy scams went wild. For example, in 2019 we had 1,600 reported puppy scams around the country. In 2020 it was 4,600. And in 2021 it was 4,000. They've dropped down a little bit, but I see them every week. I see a scam report of a puppy scam every week. Why did that happen? Because when people were locked down in their houses, they said, okay, it's time to get a puppy. We had time to train him. We're going to be here for a while. They didn't know how long they were going to be there. They didn't know whether they were going to go back to work in the office in 2 weeks or 2 years. They didn't know. So they said, we'll buy a puppy. So they start looking for that designer dog, and they see, dang, that Labrador, they want $1,500 for that dog. So they start surfing the web and looking for a kennel that's got a better price. And they find one and say, we'll do it for $800. And so they start the process. By the way, the most popular breeds that are scammed are Yorkies, Dachshunds, and French Bulldogs. I have no idea why. I think all three of them, but that's what's happening. You realize that puppy scams are consistently profitable scammers because there's a multi-tiered approach to the way they do things. It allows buyers are sort of lured in, again, as I said, by going to a website, doing a web search and finding that kennels or supposedly breeder's site, or they see an ad on Facebook, or they even may get an email or a text, because they just blind text or blind email everybody when they can. So when the buyer settles on a puppy and tries to pay, he gives the scammer a credit card. And the scammer says, card was declined. And they try again, card was declined, it's not any good. So the scammer says, okay, you got to use a peer-to-peer payment plan, payment methods such as Zelle, or you got to go buy gift cards, scratch the numbers off, and tell us what the numbers are on the gift cards. That is the number one sign that you need to run and hide under a rock at that point in time. Because no legitimate breeder is going to ask you that. So I'll give you an idea of how this scam works. And this is a true story, if I can find it here. Okay, so a woman from Texas named Caitlin went online to find her family a Dalmatian puppy. She visited the site and looked normal, the puppy was perfect, so she sent off $850, which was a fair price for the dog. Soon after, she received an email claiming the dog needed insurance for its cross-country journey, and they promised that the insurance would be refunded if the dog arrived safely. So she handed over another $725. Only a few hours later, the seller reached out again with another issue. The airlines were requiring a $615 thermal electronic crate for the flight. And if she did not pay, the puppy would not get on the flight. So she sent a third payment. And the days went by. No dog showed up. She finally realized she'd been scammed and she had spent nearly $2,200 on a dog that didn't exist. I see that repeated every week in our territory, which is Georgia, Florida, a little bit of South Carolina. Every week happens. So it's still there. It's not as bad as it used to be, but it's still there. So the uptake to that is if you want to buy a dog, if you want a dog, find a local breeder, go see the dog, require, or at the very best, at the very least, demand that there's a Zoom call where you see the dog. And then purchase a dog with a credit card. They won't take a credit card, or if they say the credit card is not good, then you know it's a scam and you back away. Second biggest scam reported is employment scams. Now, this may not be something that particularly hits this crowd, but it is the second most reported scam, and we estimate losses of about $2 billion each year to employment scams. Scammers promise work for home jobs, where you can do a little bit of office work and make more money than it's worth. That's what they promise. And the skill level is very low, so almost anybody has the level that has the required experience. And so they say, okay, we're going to hire you, we're going to send you a check for you to deposit and wire money to our supplier so you can buy the office equipment you need to do your job. You know where this is going. The check's no good. As soon as you deposit the check and wire the money off, the check's going to bounce and then money's coming out of your account when there was a job to start off with. That happens not only in employment scams, but other scams too. The fake check scam, but it's very prevalent there. Another thing is you receive an opportunity for an offshore company, to work for an offshore company that requires you to have some special international training, a work permit, a visa, or something like that that you have to pay for. Once you pay that, your contact goes away, stops responding, and blocks your calls. You never hear from them again. And then finally, another one is someone reaches out to say that you're a great fit for a specific position. And they ask you to fill out an application. You do that, giving them a social security number, all sorts of stuff, address, etc. And then they tell you, well, we're not hiring anymore. But now they've got everything they need from you to commit ID theft. So the thing that so the question is, where do people see the job advertised? Well, this one first. 14 million people are exposed to the scam, 2 billion a year. Indeed is the highest percentage of place that the job scams were offered. And one company that does scans profiles for job sites like Indeed says that in their scans they found about 500,000 out of every 3.5 million. No, wait, that's for dating, so that's my wrong statistic. Forget that, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm not always perfect, sorry. Military spouses are very susceptible to this scam as well. And it's pretty easy to understand why, because the spouse is deployed, they're home with the kids, they've got to figure out the income is not the greatest, so they're looking for a way to take care of the kids and make a little money on their own, and they fall for these scams. So you see the average loss for military spouses is about $1,800. These are not huge losses, not as much as puppy scams, but if your husband's an E4 in the Navy, $1,900 to $1,800 is a hell of a lot of money. That's a lot of money for me too. Whoops. All right, let's talk romance scams. As we said earlier, this scam moved up from 7 to 14 in the previous year. Victims in the U.S. and Canada have reported losses of nearly $1 billion over the last 3 years. And this is probably just the tip of the iceberg, because many people who are victimized by this scam are too humiliated and embarrassed to report it. So they just take their licks and keep going. We estimate that there may be more than 1 billion victims in the United States alone. One expert estimates that at any one time there may be 25,000 scammers online with victims worldwide. It's not just US, it's worldwide. And here's what the stat I was going to give you earlier goes in. A company that screens profiles for dating companies says that 500,000 of the 3.5 million profiles it scams each month are bogus. 500,000. That's over 10%. The scammers call this process, this is a little bit gross, pig butchery. And it comes from a Chinese phrase that basically means we fatten the pig up and then we kill him and eat and use everything from the snout to the tail. And that's what the scammer is trying to do. He's fattening up the victim. He's pictures, flattery, professions of love over a period of months. They'll work these victims for months. Send them little small gifts and flowers, etc., until they can set the hook and get the big prize. They intend, when they start off, to take every penny that victim has. They will leave them penniless if they possibly can. Much of this fraud comes from organized crime syndicates in Nigeria and other parts of South Africa. And they're only not only do this, but they're engaged in all types of fraud. They can, their supposed love interests, they can actually turn them into money mules and help them with money laundering or moving stolen property. We had a report, I think it was probably 3 years ago, that we actually arrested, one of these guys actually got arrested. He was arrested in St. Louis. For some reason, he found himself back in the United States, and the government had enough information to arrest him. And he had worked his victims to the point that he had them acting as a fence, basically moving stolen property into South Africa. And he had a store in his town that was totally stocked with stolen merchandise. He would steal credit cards, fake credit cards, buy stuff online, have it shipped to one of his love interests, and they would ship it over to his place in South Africa. So that's just sort of one of the things, the way they do things. It's a horrible crime. We've seen people in this area, they're never small losses. Usually they're $5,000 and up. I've seen people lose $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 on one of these scams because they think they found their true love interest, and they stop thinking. There are a couple things you can do. Does everybody know what a reverse image search is on the internet? So you right click on a picture, and either Google or Bing, either on Edge, it'll tell you, it'll show you where that picture is shown on other places on the internet. So if you right click on your lover's picture, it'll show you other places where that picture is shown. And usually it's the real picture shows up, the real guy shows up somewhere, a real girl shows up somewhere. And the same thing with the puppy scams. If you do click on a picture of the puppy and you see that picture on 2 or 3 websites, you know that there's a good chance that there's a scam there somewhere. And isn't that a cute picture? So, why? Just a couple more common elements of scams. Almost all scams use some type of impersonation, whether it be a trustworthy business like Walmart or Amazon or whatever. According to the FTC, the Amazon's not trustworthy now, but I'm not going to go there. Or it's a potential employer, it's a puppy breeder, it's a family member or friend. Now, how does a family member or friend get involved in something like this? I'm going to talk about the grandparent scam. I don't know if you've ever heard this or not, but I have known someone who it happened to them. You got to think about this. Our families are dispersed all around the country. The introduction at the beginning said I have 2 daughters. One of them lives in Chicago. The other lives in Victoria, British Columbia. I don't see them very often. Now, I don't have any grandchildren, damn it. But if I did, I probably wouldn't see those grandchildren but once a year at most, with the way things are set out. So that's sort of the way the families are today. They're very dispersed. So you get a call from someone and they say, "Grandpa, guess who this is?" When you're cycling through the grandsons, is this Tom? Yeah, and it starts from there. The one that I know about happened to a friend of a neighbor who lives right across the street from him. He got a call from someone who was supposed to be his grandson. His grandson they lived in, I think, Illinois. And the grandson said, "I went to New York City for a wedding. And we had a good time. And unfortunately, I got drunk and had an accident and hurt somebody, and now I'm in jail and I need a lawyer. I need you to send money for a lawyer and help me bail me out of jail." And he convinced him. And he told him, of course, the first thing is that you cannot tell Dad about this, he'll kill you. You know, that's what they say. Over a period of 2 days, this guy sent $15,000 to his supposed grandson in New York City before he finally figured out, He got smart and called his son or daughter, I don't know which one it is, and said, "Where's Tom?" "Oh, is he in New York?" "No, I just saw him last night." If he'd done that in the first place, he would never had the problem. But that's what they do. They scare you, and they can build such a convincing argument. And because again, you don't see those kids every day like it used to be 50 years ago, where all lived close together. You don't see them, you don't know about their habits. And now, all those kids are on Facebook, all those kids are on TikTok, all those kids are on whatever, and that scammer can find information out about a potential victim by using the information on Facebook. That's another reason why I keep a lot of this stuff private. Phishing is another example of impersonation. We all have heard of phishing. That's when someone claims to be, shipping company claims to be Amazon, claims to be your boss. You need to do something for me. Again, there's an acronym that's called SLAM. It basically stands for stop, look, address, I forget. Anyway, it basically stands for don't take everything for face value. Find out, make sure that you're really talking to your boss. Get something verified in another place. So, why do people fall for these scams? And if you look at that slide, you see the reason is that 70% of them are greedy. They think they're going to get, they're afraid there's a possibility of gaining something from the scam. And those other 30%, the fear of losing something. That's why people fall for scams. That's it. That's a sub-menu. We are our own worst enemy sometimes when a scammer strikes. I was once asked by a reporter for Channel 4, why do college students fall for certain scams? And my answer was because they're not really as smart as they think they are. And unfortunately, that answer applies to a lot of other people too. Remember that every dollar that a scammer takes is a dollar that's not going to get spent in a local business. It's not going to be given to a local church or charity. It's not going to be saved or invested for your future benefit. Remember that. So if we have time for questions, I'll take them.
Yes.
Hopefully, if I have the answer. If I don't, I'll make something up and see if you notice.
Sounds another joke. Thank you, Tom. That was excellent. Thank you. So, any questions from the audience? Jack?
You mentioned several times that the scammer is probably living in India. It used to be they would be living in Nigeria. You mentioned them once, but is there, do you have, is it India, not Pakistan, not China, it's India?
It could be any place.
Oh, okay.
It could be. But India is one of the countries. If you remember, a few years back, there was something we call the IRS scam, where you got a call from the IRS and they said you owed money. In my house, on my plan line, which I never answered, we averaged in that year probably 10 calls a week from the IRS saying we were going to get arrested if we didn't answer the call and we owed money. That all went back to India because sometimes toward the end of the year, our government and the Indian government got together and arrested a huge gang, about 250 people that were involved in that scam. So some of it goes to India, some of it goes to Africa, some of it goes to Indonesia. It goes all over the place. It could be Scotland, but usually scammers are going to be somewhere other than here because they're not subject. They can't be. It's hard to get to them. They can't. The countries that they're in don't really work with the U.S. for extradition. Myanmar, China, etc.
Well, and to follow up on Jackie's question, do you know why certain countries are so prevalent that that's where
I think to answer the question of why are certain countries prevalent, I think that the reason is solely because they don't have extradition agreements with the U.S. We can't get to them. Like India, we have an extradition agreement, and we could work with that Indian police department or Indian agency to get the scammers. But if we try to do that in Myanmar or China, they just tell us to take a hike. So they look to be in places where we can't get to them. That's the main reason.
It's just interesting because those are typically like the poorest countries in the world and they're struggling economically. So,
Yeah.
But you were saying it's mainly like cartel or organized crime.
Yeah, and they actually run it's sort of a human trafficking thing too. A lot of these scammers that are the low-level people are sort of tricked into being in that position, just like maybe maids in the hotels are there. They come and they can't get out of it, and that happens there too. So they have human trafficking all over Asia that goes into some of these countries.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Hey Tom, thanks for accepting our invitation. Since you're so close to this and deal with this every day, you know, where do you kind of see this going? I mean, a year, 2, 3 years from now, what's your presentation going to be like? Is it just going to be, you know, oh my goodness?
Same stuff, different day. Nothing changes, it just methods change. You know, like I mentioned the IRS scam, then that changed into the Social Security scam, and then it went to something else, and then it goes back to it's whatever, you know, they'll try something for a little while, and when that horse is dead, they get off of it and get on another one. They use the same techniques, just impersonate different organizations. We didn't, you know, we've had, the BBB has been used in these impersonation scams a number of times. So I don't see it changing. I don't see it getting much worse or much better. I think it's, you know, it's probably get a little worse because the population keeps growing. That makes, you've got more money, you've got more people, that makes it for a bigger audience to be targeted by the scams. So the number will continue to increase, but it's going to be the same stuff.
Their techniques are getting better as well too. They're changing up what they do, what they say, and how they do it.
Yep.
They draw you into that.
There's a reason, as I was telling, there's a reason they call them con artists, because they really are artists at what they do.
Okay, shameless message here because I work for an animal welfare nonprofit, and so my advice to people who to keep people out of the pet scam clause of the con artists. We have shelters that are filled with dogs and cats that are amazing, dogs and cats. We have rescue groups that are also filled with amazing dogs and cats. You can go, you can see them, you can see that they're real, and you don't pay $5,000 for them. And they are amazing animals. You can also get them from a reputable breeder, but to do that, you need to go to that breeder and you need to see them. But I will always promote adoption over buying pets every day.
And I actually meant to say that when I talked about pet scams and puppy scams. I meant to include that as one of the options is adopt a dog. And then we can start another conversation about puppy mills and pet stores who sell puppies that come from puppy mills. But that would be another hour's conversation, so we're not going to go there. But yes, go to your local adoption center and get a dog. Now, we were very fortunate. Our little lovable, annoying fur ball was given to us by a lady who was having health problems and couldn't take care of him. He was only a year old when we got him, so we've had him for 4 years. He's 5 years old now.
I'm going to have Jimmie come up for just a second because I wanted you just to share what handouts you brought, what information. As you're backing it up, I can see. But just if you will quickly, just let everyone know what you brought and how helpful it could be.
Hello, good evening. Thanks again for having me out. As you said, I am Jimmie Carter, the Consumer Affairs Manager for Duval. If you see me on the Channel 4 News lately, with the trailer park lady with the $3,000 water bill, that's me. We're trying to figure out how she used that much water. What I have back there is some of the stuff Mr. Tom talked about. Avoid scams, what to look for, and if I can just add anything to his presentation is nothing in the world is free. If it sounds good, it's not good. I have aging parents, and for some reason, my mom thinks, oh, he's so nice. Hang up the phone, Mom. That's the exact words to her, to hang up the phone. So I thought it was a little over, so I started prematurely packing up, but I will stay back and give you anything you want. If anything comes up and you need questions about consumer affairs, you can't get in contact with Mr. Tom, please give me a call at 255-7798. No, excuse me, 255-7198. I don't call them all, 7198. And if I don't have the answer, I'll definitely get it to you. Even though I'm at Duval County, we do work with the beaches on some things, so I will.
We are in Duval County.
Yes, but
Yes,
Jacksonville Beach do not like me coming out here, so, but I will help out as much as I can. Yes, ma'am.
Was that consumer affairs, did you
That's
say?
correct, consumer affairs.
So that's what we looked up, because I don't remember the number, but.
Yes, ma'am. Consumer affairs.
Okay.
But with a name like Jimmie Carter, we will never forget that. Just, you look Jimmie Carter up and you'll find him. Anything else? Anybody got any other questions?
Can I add one thing?
Yes, please.
Since we did that promotion of consumer affairs, if you have an issue with a company and you want to, or you're thinking about hiring a company, you can look that company up on bbb.org and find out if we have any information about them as to whether they've had bad business practice in the past. I'm into that.
Because we definitely are a tag team. If I have something, I'm definitely going to call him, and vice versa. So we definitely work hand in hand together. Yes, ma'am.
What's gonna happen when those people out at the trailer park and those water bills?
I have no idea. We went out there Monday and we looked and looked and looked. Honestly, I think it's human error. I think there's a water bill $30, $30, $30, $600, $1,700. She lives in a 3-bedroom trailer with 5 cats. So,
I don't get it. I don't know who's responsible. I mean, obviously they're blaming the people who live there.
but they said if she could fill the 5 swimming pools with that much water. So, honestly, I think it's human error. I think it's just somebody moved fat finger the number, but I didn't see. We
Follow
didn't
the
see
money,
water.
whoever she's
We
sending
fight with
payment
her
to.
to get her answers, so hopefully they'll realize that it was a mistake and give her money back. She really can't afford $4,000 water.
She didn't pay that, did she?
Ma'am?
Did she pay it?
She paid the first 2,000, so they
Well, you
came
had
back
a
with
check
another
who collected that money.
They looking into that as well, you're correct.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, thank you so much, both Tom and Jimmy, for this informative session. I know every day, all of us are probably getting emails or texts or phone calls, saying send us money, or you've won a free iPad or whatever. So just be vigilant. As said before, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably isn't. So thank you again for joining us, and just as a reminder, the meeting's recorded. It'll be on our website tomorrow, so please let your friends and neighbors know, and your loved ones know about this, especially because we are all vulnerable to the scamming. We're also on Facebook, but we don't have any fake ads on our stuff. So, and then of course our website. And next month again, November 1st, we will have Senator Yarborough and Representative Michael to give us a legislative update, or actually kind of what to expect for the upcoming legislative session for next year. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and adjourn tonight's meeting. Make sure you step by the back table and see what Jimmy has. So thank you.